The conditional operator. The conditional operator is actually something that's very useful. I use it all the time. It's really easy to use when you need to do something simple that depends on a specific condition. So let's go ahead and read more about the conditional operator. The conditional operator evaluates to one of two expressions based on a Boolean condition. Its syntax is the condition, then expression 1, expression 2. If the condition is true, expression 1 is evaluated. If it's false, expression 2 is evaluated. The value of the entire conditional operator is the value of the selected expression. The conditional operator is similar to an if-else statement, except that the expression returns a value. For example, here they're using a conditional operator, and depending on this condition, they're going to either store num1 or num2 into larger. If num1 is larger than num2, then num1 gets assigned to larger, otherwise num2 is assigned to larger. The conditional operator is ternary because it requires 3 operands. Here they give you another example. Your change is, and then you have a count of how many dimes you have. And if count is 1, they use dime. If it's plural, they use dimes. If count equals 1, then dime is printed. If count is anything other than 1, then dimes is printed. Quick check. Express the following logic in succinct manner using the conditional operator. So here they're saying if value is less than or equal to 10, then we're going to print it's not greater than 10. Otherwise, we're going to print it is greater than 10. So what we can do using conditional operator is we can wrap the not in a condition, and depending on this condition here, we'll either print out the not or not print it out. And this is what they did. So they have a system out print line, and they use the conditional operator inside of the string, and if value is less than 10, then they put not. If value is not less than 10, then you just get a blank string. So I created this program to demonstrate the conditional operator. I imported the scanner class, and then I instantiated my scanner object. Then I made 2 variables to hold the number of nickels and the number of dimes. So I prompt the user to enter the number of dimes, and I prompt the user to enter the number of nickels. I'm storing those values in the respective variables. And then I'm doing some logic checks here. So the first thing I'm doing is I'm printing out how many dimes they have. Now, if dimes is equal to 1, I'm using the singular case of dime. If nickels is equal to 1, I'm using the singular case of nickel. Otherwise, I'm using the plural for each one. Then the last thing I do is I check which one is more, the dimes or the nickels, or are they the same? So I'm not using conditional operators just yet. I'm using if statements, but I wanted to demonstrate how we do this with if statements, and then we can adjust our code to use conditional operators, and you can see how much less code we're writing. So let's go ahead and compile and run this program. So I'm going to enter 1 dime and 1 nickel, and you can see that I get the singular case, and I'm saying that the number of dimes and nickels are equal. I'm going to enter in 1 dime and 2 nickels, and there's my result. Then 2 dimes and 1 nickel, and there's my result. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to modify my code to use conditional operators. So I modified my code to use conditional operators. Now this is the code that I had previously. I just went ahead and commented that out so you can see all the lines of code that I had before. So I'm doing simple system out print F statements, and where I had the dime, I'm now making a %s to pass in a string, and I'm checking to see if dimes is equal to 1. If it is equal to 1, then I'm going to put a dime. If it's not equal to 1, then I'm putting dimes, which is plural. So dime or dimes will go there. And then right here, I'm doing the same thing, but for nickels. And then right here, I'm printing out whether we have more dimes and nickels or nickels and dimes. Now, the one thing I didn't do is equality. So I'm only making 1 check here, but I'll come back and show you what you can do to fix this. But for now, I'm only using 1 conditional operator. So if dimes is greater than nickels, I'm going to put dimes than nickels. If it's not, nickels than dimes. So it's going to say you have more dimes than nickels or nickels than dimes. So let's go ahead and compile and run this program. So first thing I want to check is I want to enter in 1 and 1 for my dimes and nickels. And you can see that I got the singular case. However, this statement right here is actually not true. So we're going to go back and fix that. Now I'm going to enter in 1 dime and 2 nickels, and 2 dimes and 1 nickel. So everything seems to work just the same, but I'm using conditional operators. So here's a conditional operator that's determining if I have more dimes and nickels or nickels and dimes. What I had before is an if statement. Now there's actually 2 checks here. I checked to see if dimes is greater than nickels, and then I checked to see if dimes was less than nickels. But in my conditional operator, I'm only doing 1 check because I can only use 1 check in a conditional operator. So what I can do is we can nest conditional operators. So instead of printing out nickels and dimes, I can actually do an additional conditional operator right here, and then do my check if dimes is less than nickels. So there's my conditional operator check. Now I'm not putting in my string just yet. But what's going to happen is if dimes is greater than nickels, I'm going to print out this statement. If this is not true, then I'm going to print out this. And then this is another conditional operator. So then I do an additional check to see if dimes is less than nickels. If it is, I'm going to print out this statement. If it's not, I'm going to print out this. Now I don't have anything inside of the string because I have to reevaluate my string. So here it says you have more And then here I'm going to say dimes and nickels, but over here, I'm going to say you have the same amount of nickels and dimes. So I'm going to have to readjust this string and then put in different values here, here, and here. So I removed the more up here and I moved the more here. Now I'm going to add this same statement here, but I'm going to put nickels then dimes. If this condition is false, then I want to print out the same amount of dimes and nickels. And there you go. So let's go ahead and test this. Okay, so I'm going to test this by entering the same amount of dimes and nickels. So I'm going to put a 1 and a 1. And there's my output. Now I want to test this by entering more nickels and dimes. So I'm going to use 2 dimes and 3 nickels. And now I want to test it one more time, but I want to put more dimes and nickels. And everything works just the same. So what's highlighted is where I use my conditional operators. And then what's commented out is where I was using my if statements. So you can see that it's a little easier to use the conditional operators whenever you want to do something quick and easy. But if we had like more complex logic, then nesting more conditional operators probably would have been a little unmanageable. So in that case, it's probably better to use if statements.